20 things that you should have done 20 years ago. I am holding this list in my hand. It's going to be an absolute wonderful show. We're not passing go. We're not collecting $200. We're jumping in right into number one. Number one.
Okay.
Of the 20 things that you should have.
That was like super fast.
We're here for it. Number one.
I was feeling a little discouraged actually. 20 things I should have done 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, how is this going to be encouraging?
Well, first we just have to get through the list.
Okay.
Number one. Do you know?
Trust you, huh?
Just trust me on this. Number one. Baptists like lists.
Okay.
Do you know that? Like that, they love lists. So
I just
want to shout out to my Baptist brethren real quick. If you are Baptist out there, we made this show almost just for you. All right. All right.
Did I hear amen?
Amen. Amen. I should get my organ ready. All right. Number one. Presbyterian like lists too.
Do they?
And when I think about it, it's probably the reason that Baptists like lists is because, like they do all the time, they cheating off of their Presbyterian brothers.
Oh.
And so I'm guessing this show is for Presbyterians as well. Yeah. And anybody else in between, I don't know.
You can say amen too, Presbyterians. It's okay. I know it feels awkward, but go ahead.
They'll probably get kicked out of their church. All right. Number one of the 20 things that you should have did 20 years ago.
Should have did.
Now that you brought it up, maybe we should talk about why we're doing this show.
I don't know. Let's just do number one for fun.
No. I'm officially there now.
Okay.
I wanted to.
Yeah,
you kind of interrupted the whole thing.
I know. Well, it's because I felt like I was going a little fast, and I was like, wait.
That's because Gabe's not here.
I know.
And we were just zooming.
I know.
Because Gabe would do a whole monologue, and they'd be, we're jumping into.
Gabe, what do you think? Yeah, that's what I thought.
So here's something that happened to me. I was thinking, when you get to be my age, shut up. I'm in my 40s, okay? Yeah. But when you get to be my age, you start thinking about how stupid you were in your 20s.
Oh.
I wasn't that bad, but there's still a stupidity that like.
Try not to think about that.
Yeah, I should have been beaten on my back. There's something just foolish. But when you get 40, a couple things happen. You realize that you can't have late night meals. You start drinking Diet Coke. And you start hearing things like squeak on your body, right? And so, and then the other thing that happens is you start realizing I've wasted a lot of time and stumbled into places that I didn't mean to by the grace of God.
Okay.
Right? Like you start realizing that you know stuff. And you're like, the only reason I know stuff is because I did this job over here and did that job over there and I accumulate this knowledge. And now people want to pay me for things that I didn't think were valuable at all. Right? And you start realizing that by the time you get older, your knowledge accounts for value. And you're saying, I should know more over the next 20 years than I did the previous 20 years so that by the time I hit 60, I can be really valuable to other people.
Right.
Create a lot of wealth for other people and myself.
And if someone is listening or watching and they're 20.
Right.
Hey.
You get a leg up.
Hey, you're in luck.
I might not be able to help with the heartburn or the Diet Coke by the time you get 40, but you might be.
That might happen no matter what you do.
Yeah. Number one.
Okay.
We finally there?
All right, maybe so.
So number one, pay someone to work for.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Pay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Pay. I thought people pay you for work.
Yeah. When you're young and you are trying to get somewhere, the most valuable thing that you can accumulate is knowledge and wisdom and understanding.
Oh.
How do systems work?
Oh, this is kind of like school.
This is education.
Yeah.
You need to know things.
Yeah.
And the more things you know, the more that you understand about how God's world works, the more that you can be valuable to other people. If I was 20 right now, if I was 15 right now.
Another way to say this is you're not valuable yet.
Right.
Ooh.
Yes. You are a liability. Anybody who brings on an employee is bringing on a liability, and they have to train them to be valuable to them in the job that they need them to do.
Right. This is like this lines up with that one red balloon ad that we play sometimes with the kids. Like I don't know. Can you guys find that? Do you guys have that red balloon ad?
They can find it.
I mean, the one where the kids are like asking about all the perks.
Yes.
Like not the woke one. The one about all the perks. Like will I get this? Will I get that? Because modern. Well, all of us are this way, but we have a very heavily entitlement culture.
Yes.
Like I'm entitled to all kinds of things like long breaks and special benefits and all this kind of stuff. And especially when it's hilarious because it's little kids in this ad. But you can graduate high school and suddenly think you're entitled to something.
Yeah. The ad really pushes the idea too. They're kids. So what do you even know?
It's high, but it's like, but you're 20 and that's what you sound like.
Yeah.
You know, Will I get some special perks? Will I get back rubs?
Yeah.
I mean, like
somebody gonna bring me coffee.
Yeah.
We have our own coffee maker and coffee machine.
Anyways, yeah. So you're saying, recognize where you are.
Yeah.
And recognize that what you need to do right now is gain knowledge, gain training that you don't have, which means you need to pay people to give you that knowledge.
Yes, you need to understand. When I started working at Dairy Queen, I didn't understand just how to make a cone. What I was working with was a multi-million-dollar organization that made money through serving people ice cream, sandwiches, and drinks. I needed to understand, how did they create a system that could be placed every other state or every other town or every other block with people that work it, that deliver the same amount of time and gets this out in 2 minutes? Why does this work? Why do people like it? Why do people pay money? And why are they so big that they can hire me and pay me the wage that they pay me? If I thought about that place that way, then I would be further along, right, in how I think about things. But let me just raise the stakes a little more. I'm in my 40s now. If Elon Musk offered me the opportunity for $5,000 to pay to follow him for a month, I would take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because what I would gain from being with him in a month's time would be a year's education that I couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I would carry his water bags. Like, you need a drink? What do you need? What do you need?
Yeah.
Because to learn and understand the thought and what it would give my mind to learn these systems that are working would be more than what he's charging me.
Yeah.
And so when you're young, you don't have money anyway. So when I'm saying pay for work, what I'm saying is give your time to someone for free. Right? So that you can gain the knowledge.
Give whatever you can.
Whatever you can.
To get whatever you don't have.
And so fathers who have young men.
Yeah.
It's okay to find somebody like an Andrew Crappyshed over at Red Balloon, right? And say, listen, I will pay my son to follow you for this summer or whatever.
Right.
If he's not doing good, fire him, do whatever you need.
Find a David Reese.
Exactly.
AR 500.
Yes.
Go find professionals in their field who are taking dominion, who are thoughtful Christian leaders in their professions, and shadow them.
Amen. That is so valuable.
That's the pattern of discipleship, and that's what the disciples did with Jesus. I mean, they just walked with him for 3 years. You know, like who do you want to be like?
Go model that.
Go find them. Walk with them. Okay, that's number one.
Number two, get married.
Okay,
don't wait.
Go ahead.
I can't stress this nearly enough. When Adam was given to creation to take dominion, God saw in order for him to operate well, he needed to have his bride.
It was not good for man to be alone.
It wasn't good for him to be alone. And I was just going through this in Proverbs too. Part of what makes a great king is the queen that he picks.
Yeah.
Right? And picking the right queen gives you dominion.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to work within the creation that God has given.
Yeah. Wisdom is a woman.
That's right. And so like that's exactly right. So and this is why I'm saying very young, do work, learn things, get married, because there's an application that comes out of that you can't do apart from marriage.
Sure.
Right. And the way that God has designed it, he's designed it to work this way. And we forget that,
right.
Especially right now, there is a push for young men to work and get jobs and get money and then delay marriage. Don't delay the marriage, because whatever God gives you in the bride isn't just for the creation of the dominion that you're taking, but it's for the development of you yourself too. And you need that to rule well.
Yeah, there's always this sort of this catch-22, because I don't think there's ever a sense in which like a man can say like, oh yeah, now I'm ready to be the covenant head of an immortal soul. Like what man is like, yeah, I'm ready for that now. Like, what are you, an idiot?
Yeah,
like
right.
You're not going to be ready. And on the other hand, you do need to be ready.
Yes.
So
there's a reality of being ready. Yes.
You know, but the point being, really, this is one of those things, marriage, because we go back to Genesis 1, we go back to Genesis 2, when God says, Adam, you got a job. And the first lesson he teaches him is it's not good for you to be alone. You need a helper.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're saying, Knox, is early in the process, you it may be a year, maybe a few years, but you need to recognize you need a helper. You're not good alone. And that helper is a bride. you need to get married.
That's so wise words. I was just looking at this. So I've been reading wise words to the kids. It's from Peter Lightheart.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he's doing in there is taking the Proverbs and he's breaking them down into stories. It's a good one. I think it's the second one where he talks about the king that has 3 sons. It's so good.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
It's so good. And basically the way
they're supposed to go find a creature.
Yes.
Find like
the most amazing
creature. The most
creature.
exotic, amazing creature.
And whoever then finds that most exotic, amazing creature then they get to rule because it shows that they have wisdom, right?
One brings a lion.
A huge lion. Yeah, a peacock.
One brings a peacock.
Yes.
And then the last one takes a while.
Yeah.
And he comes back with a woman.
Right down the road. Like one of the kids, like, it's really funny. One of the kids said, "You had us waiting for her?" but what's interesting in the story is that in the story, the lion eats the peacock.
Yeah.
Right? And then when the last
and then the woman
comes and tames the lion.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful because the picture and image he's showing here is that a queen helps the king tame the kingdom.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like she's able to rule over that with dominion. Yeah. And so has a rule that's well orchestrated because of the queen.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good. Anyway.
I'm just going to add to yours and have kids. I'm assuming that's like,
it shouldn't have to be said.
That's what Genesis says.
2A.
But we live in a world.
2AB, which is have kids and baptize them.
We live in a world in which
you apparently
have to say that out loud. I mean, even though God says, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth," and it ought to go without saying, get married means start a family.
Yeah.
You know, with under God's blessing, if the Lord opens your womb, gives you children. Get married, welcoming kids. Get married, seeking to fulfill that dominion mandate.
That's definitely a part of it. And I would actually just assume that, and I probably shouldn't have.
But that's part of the same point you're making, is that it's like not only it's like God gives you that helper, and you begin to learn to lead her well, and she is a blessing on your labors and just makes you a better person. But then as God blesses you with children, it's like that's multiplied. Now that same dominion that you're having to learn how to lead and love and serve and care for. It's like juggling. You're like, you think to yourself, I can barely handle this. And then God says, here, have another, have another. And you find that actually he multiplies your abilities and gives you the wisdom and the strength and the resources to do what you don't think is possible. But what he's doing is stretching you, and he's making you.
You're so right about that, Pastor. People don't talk about this, but after the time you get to 3 kids, believe it or not, it actually does get easier.
Yeah.
Right? Like you've learned to manage the load.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, Pastor Wilson says this, but a man is like straight bed trucks.
Yeah.
The more weight they have on them, the better that they roll.
That's right.
And I think it's the same way with a family. Like, believe it or not, more than 3 kids, you can make it. Right. And you can do really well with that. And it's amazing how much that they add on to each other.
That's a principle. I don't know if this will hit somewhere else, but that is a principle that applies in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Men function best with almost always with having more to do than they can actually quite get done.
I think that's in the first one. Okay. Because as you're learning strategy and work, like you understand the workload as well. But
I tell this story to college students sometimes when I'm encouraging them in this is, I was always like a decent student, but not like an amazing. I wasn't like a 4.0 straight A student. All the way through college, A's, B's, maybe an occasional C, kind of student. Did okay. Got married, had 2 kids, went to seminary, and then was starting to pastor a church, going to school full time, 2 kids, a 3rd one on the way. That pregnancy went crazy. My wife was hospitalized. My daughter was premature, and that was the first time I ever got a 4.0. You look back and you're like, that doesn't even make sense. I had way more to do. I was preaching every Sunday. I was, counseling people. I was studying for ordination. It's like, and you look back and you're like, what was I doing in college? But that's kind of the point. It's like you actually can do more than you think you can do.
Yeah.
There's limits to this, but do more than you think you can do.
There's great stories around that. I won't.
Yeah.
There's a Prince story. Remind me to tell you after the show.
Prince
All
story.
Prince story. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and Prince.
Okay.
Number 3, create financial freedoms. I don't think people don't think about this enough. I think that people really willing to work a job, but they're not willing to think about scaling their own work.
Yeah.
Right. And so part of
what do you mean by scaling your own work?
So we usually will think about, I need to get a good paying job that gives me money, and I'll go and invest that money some other place. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I'll take it and put it in stocks or something like that. But people don't think about.
I think people actually. I'm not sure people think about that.
No, granted.
That's like level 2, man.
Sure.
Stocks?
Yes. Yeah. I'll go. They know they should. They might not do it, but I think they know they should do something like that. But they don't think about scaling their work to financial freedom, like taking somebody else's money, being able to play with it to make them more money, and then create a value from that for themselves that pays back again. Right. I don't think, and when people get to a job, they keep waiting for, well, I'm supposed to get a 50% raise every 3 months, but they don't think anything beyond that, like anything beyond financial freedoms. And so what I want to say is think about what kind of job that you have that allows you opportunity to operate with that company's money to scale what they're doing through your work so that they make more money, that they want to bonus you for the money that you make because you're bringing creativity to the job. And then taking that money and then in buying a home that allows you freedoms from that job.
How does buying a home allow you freedom from your job?
Because once you buy one home and you get that kind of you get the loan, you get to leverage that loan, equity line of credit, investment going down. You get to buy another home off that home. So you can have 2 or apartment complex, right? Then you buy 2 or 3 of them. When you do that, let's say you have 4 or 5 homes over 15 years. The cost of those homes will go up. The value of them will go up. What you pay on them monthly will begin to go down. And you're going to start creating margins of income for yourself that you'll start bringing in over the next 20 years after that, where you don't have to work a full-time job as just residual income coming in, apart from taking care of the houses. So if you do that 4, 5, 7 times and you get duplexes, you're able to have financial freedom from the company that you were working for. So now what you do, which moves on into number 4, is where you get to buy businesses. So now you have 4 or 5 homes, and now you say, okay, how do I leverage 2 or 3 of these to get money from the bank, since I've shown myself worthy, to buy a $2 or $3 million business?
I think a lot of people think you're talking crazy right now.
I know people who are doing this, and I'm trying to figure that path out, even myself.
I'm hearing a lot of people saying, like, look, Knox, this economy, we can't. Like, we're just trying to buy a house.
Yes.
And we're trying to make payments. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to survive.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how many houses you think people have?
Yeah, I think you can. If you want to hear my goal, I'm trying to be in 5 houses over the next 7 years, if I could. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
And
how many?
5. If I can get 5 houses over the next 7 years, I can double it with duplexes. If I get 2 duplexes, it'll probably do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But the goal here is, look, the way that I'm looking at this, even for myself, is I know over the last 20 years, I've created a lot of information about value, and it just so happens to be around the tech world and about the marketing world.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to do is become sharper, more skilled, more valuable to other people, and then disperse my work around other people that I can bring in more income because of what I do.
Right.
Right. So what I'm doing first is what I talked about. I am creating and sharpening my skills that I know so that I can have value to other people, make them more money that they want to bonus me out for.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know the market is hard. Trust me. We just bought a house 3 years ago in Genesee. Couldn't even buy in Moscow. And so, but now I understand. Had I even bought in Moscow, the value would have been higher, but it would have been harder.
Yeah.
But if I would have created myself more valuable to someone else, then I would have had more money to be able to spend on buying a house in Moscow. And it's like, I didn't get that. Right. And so part of when you don't have power, when you don't have wealth, what the first thing you have to do is figure out how to accumulate it. Well, if God made you as a human being who can gather knowledge and understanding and wisdom, well, then you have to figure out, how do I get those things? Well, the Bible tells you how to get those things. And so I become skilled in my labor and in my work so that people put kings, the Bible says, will a man who's not skilled be before kings? Yeah. Kings got money. You want to get money? Get skilled. Like, I don't have time for the whining. While you sit up here whining to me, you could be getting the skill, right? Get the skill, get in front of a king, get the money, buy you 5 to 7 houses, and then buy a business. Number 5.
Whoa. That's easy peasy.
And that's the thing. It is simple to understand, hard to do.
Right.
Right?
And a whole bunch of this is just a matter of courage.
Do the thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of, you said, why are you complaining? Get the skills. But that means you got to go out and you got to knock on doors. You got to make the phone call. You got to send the email. You got to send it again. You got to have the conversation again. Hey, can I do this for you? Can I help you with this? And maybe we're back at number 1. Maybe can I shadow you? Can I come hang out with you? Can I take you for lunch?
That's why I started there. Absolutely.
How did you do this?
Yep.
How can I do this? But it's like, and men hate to fail. We hate failure.
Yes.
And many, many, many men would much rather sit there and complain than try something and fail.
That's right.
And that's not manly. That's not courageous. That's not faithful. God would rather you get off the couch and try something and fail.
That's right.
God, every day of the week, he'd rather you try and fail. Back to number 2. You want to get married?
Yeah.
This is the name of the game, buddy.
Right.
Try and fail.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. You can't lead. Like, you think you know what you're doing leading a woman? What are you like? Right. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And she's got to follow you. And this is why, and I think people hear the Ephesians 5 text, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. And it's like, I don't think that like hits you like it's supposed to hit you. Like, are you kidding?
You're right.
Your job is to love her and lead her the way Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Right?
Me? A whole me?
Yeah. You have to do that. And that means the only way you're going to do that is tripping and falling.
All the way through
stumbling all the way. And then, of course, her job isn't any easier because she's got to follow you.
Right.
She's required to respect you while you do that. Obey him, submit to him while he does that. You're like, but he doesn't know what he's doing. I know. It's pretty funny. But that's what you're supposed to do. But that requires courage. So your job is to say this way. And she says, are you sure? You're like, no, but I'm the leader. We have to go. This is the way. And then, 100 yards down the way, no, wrong way. My bad. This way instead. And your job is to respect him. And your job is to keep doing that. And so many men, they're like, I'm sick and tired of being wrong. I'm sick and tired of failing. Well,
but here's, you only have to get it right once.
What do you mean?
Think about the electrical light bulb.
Yeah.
He just had to get it right once.
Right. Yeah.
Think about the rubber tire guy.
Yeah.
He had failures all over the place. There's a story about the guy who did Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Why are we getting into stories? You just made me put another one on here.
Stories are the best.
Yeah, but the guy who came up with Taco Bell failed 3 businesses from the same guys that gave him a loan. All 3 businesses failed. Okay. And he went back the first time and said, guys, I got to figure it out.
Yeah. And was he doing tacos every time?
No.
Oh, okay.
He did all kinds of different things. And he came back the second time, guys, I got to figure it out. I didn't have the packaging right. Yeah. The timing, it was wrong. Yeah. It failed. Yeah. Third time, he's like, all right, I know what to do. Tacos. And they're like, all right.
Yeah.
And it blows up.
Right.
He got it. All he had to do is get it right once.
Right.
Which leads to number 5 that I just wrote on here because you made me think of this is you were built for this.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew 20 years ago. You were just talking about this with your family, like, and you go to seminary and you're pastoring and you get like 4.0, right? And it's because you were built for that.
Yeah.
Like, you were built for the tough moments. When I'm going through and I'm tired, I've been doing 16-hour days. I got to do family worship. I got to go back and clean and cut the yard. I got to do the kitchens. I got to do whatever I got to do in the house. I come back and it's like, what are you talking about? Right. You were built for this.
Right.
You were designed to do this well.
Right.
Don't complain.
Yeah.
Take it in all joy and go do it.
Right.
Like, just do it.
Right.
Like,
I love, this is actually one of the reasons I love baseball. Can I tell you about this?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Baseball's
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Like my thing of baseball.
the best sport in the whole world.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Mark Dewey.
Yeah.
We agree. We know you're wrong. But baseball is a picture of, I think, this kind of masculinity in the sense that the best hitters miss the ball most of the time. But they just got to hit it a few times. Right?
Yes.
I mean, your batting average, I mean, you're doing amazing if you're up near 400. You know?
Yes.
You know, that's a little less than half the time.
Yep.
But most of the time you're missing it.
Mm-hmm.
But just enough of the time you're hitting it. You're making contact.
Yep.
And that makes you a hero. And little kids have your baseball card and your poster and your jersey, and they want you to sign their baseball.
That's so good. Because, and what happens when you hit it, there's a pattern recognition that you're like, oh, I know what I did. Like, and I know what I didn't do. Right?
Yep.
And so all of a sudden.
And it's constant adjustments.
And it's constant.
The best hitters in baseball are making constant adjustments. They're back in the batting cage regularly, and they're shortening their swing, they're changing their stance just slightly, just small adjustments. And it's those small adjustments that make all the difference in the world.
It's funny because actually there's one of them on here. It's not the next one, but it's one of them on here. I'm just going to jump
got baseball on here?
No, I have pivot quickly. Learn to pivot quickly. Like when you're not hitting it, when it's not working, learn to pivot quickly and adjust. That's one of the things I wish I understood 20 years ago. It's like sometimes you will throw yourself into something and think it's got to work. And it's like, well, no, it doesn't have to work. But did you learn enough from it so that you can pivot quickly and use that in the next setup?
I like to say, just remember you're not that important. Like there's actually a real freedom in knowing that you're just a person. Like you're just a person. But I mean, you're a person made in the image of God, and He's mindful of you and He loves you. But it's also like, I think we take ourselves way too seriously. And so when we throw ourselves into something, and you do need to throw yourself into something to make it work, but then when it doesn't work, it's like, well, do something different. Change. Let's make an adjustment. Not that way, this way. Let's do this instead. And it's like that kind of humility.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not a big deal. God's a big deal. And my family's a big deal, but I'm not a big deal. So I can change. I can adjust. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong about that. That was a dumb idea. Let's do this instead.
Right. I learned from that
There's
one.
freedom then. What
number
are we on?
6.5. Yeah, that's right. Technically, we're more than that. Find your people and commit to them there in that place for 30 to 40 years.
Only 30 or 40 years.
I think once you do that, you can decide whether or not you want to move or not after your grandkids. You know what I mean? I think you can decide where you want to go.
Think generationally.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
I think so. But
a generation
also
is 40 years, so just like commit.
And find the people there that you want to see be successful.
A people and a place.
That's right.
A people and a place.
And I'm really saying find a good church. That's what I mean by people.
Yeah.
Find a good church there and commit yourself to them for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
Don't do what doesn't work. I think we've talked about that one.
That was 7. That was
number 7.
Yeah, that was the change quickly.
Yep.
Pivot quickly.
Number 8, master multiple skills to create range for yourself.
Create range. There's a great book called Range.
That's where I get this from.
Have you read that book?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the mistakes that I thought I was making was that I love to do everything. I was in construction work. I was working at Dairy Queen. I was doing, hand-to-hand sales. I was selling cologne. I was doing everything I could possibly do. And I did it for a long time. And I'm watching my friends go and learn these specialties in one area and one zone. What I didn't pick up on is that as I was doing everything, I was learning the systems of all those things at the same time.
Right.
And what started happening where I was slow because I was carrying so much, the guys were much faster because they had one focus, one point. But as I got older, I started realizing that because I had all those things I had learned and the systems I had learned, as they matured, I knew multiple mastery of industries and skills.
Right.
So as I was working with media, I learned that. I learned music mixing and audio mixing. I learned working with cars from working with cars. I learned construction and building houses. I learned windows. I learned electricity. And by the time it came, as I'm becoming a filmmaker, because I knew those industries, I can go inside of those environments with certain people and they were like, how do you, oh, you care about what we do and you love this. And so I got along with it. It helped me in so many different areas. Even right now, right? And so when you have range, don't worry about like not mastering it right away. Taking the time to learn them over time creates you a master of all that. And it does something else. It creates a web in your mind of understanding how God has made the world and how he's made it to connect and that it's not fragmented.
Right.
When you understand how multiple disciplines work, then you can apply that thinking and those structures to other disciplines.
Right.
And know why it would work and why it wouldn't work, where other people have to guess.
You know, this is why the liberal arts are so important.
Yes.
And this is why classical education, this is why we focus on these things. Is the idea is actually range in learning and learning the most fundamental skills. So grammar, logic, rhetoric, these areas of the trivium are foundational skills that give you range in every area. They allow you to master any number of areas. And so being a generalist is generally far more potent than being a specialist. If you're a specialist, you might have drilled down on one particular area, but if that's all you know, and then suddenly you've got to do something else, you've got to pivot, you got to start at square one again to go do that other thing. And especially like in a lot of the tech world and sciences, other things like that. There's a lot of times the industries change.
Yes.
Industries are changing quickly.
Constantly.
And a lot of people will tell you over 20 years that they've changed careers a few times.
Yep.
Most people didn't just go to school, study the subject, and then have a career in that one field. A lot of people change fields. And this is why a strong general education is really, really important.
And that generalist education turns into a specialist education as they continue the learning.
Sure.
So then they become specialists.
Allows you to do that
absolutely.
in more fields,
than just one field. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Number 9, learn the value of time. Woo.
Oh.
So everybody has 24 hours in a day, but you can have more.
What?
Yes.
It sounds like one of those like advertising. Like,
I know, right? I'm going to sell you.
This is an infomercial.
If you want to know how to get more time in a day, hit me up. I'm going to sell you this for $23. No. You can buy other people's time.
I see what you're talking
This
about.
is why you want to have money. This is why you want to create value for somebody else, to accumulate wealth to yourself, get bonuses, buy a house, because now you can have more than 24 hours in a day. You can have somebody else's 8 to 15 to 16 hours a day. And you can do that times however much money you can afford to do that, which means you get to accomplish more than other people. And so if you don't figure this out, how to value time and knowing what your time is worth, like don't give your time to foolish things.
This is true.
Foolish things don't help you buy other people's time.
Like X.
Yes, that could be, unless you made X, and then you're doing really great.
Right. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah. Okay, I want to do this next one, and then we'll read an ad. But
I was also thinking this is part of you can have more, you can do more, you can do more with time. And this goes back to having kids.
Yes.
Family.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, there's value there. When people have not thought this way in terms of a productive family, a productive household. That's a one way to learn this principle that you're talking about is when you have a pile of faithful kids, they're helping you. They're serving you. Your wife is working alongside you, and you're getting more and more done, and you're finding that you have more time in a sense because of what you're able to get done.
Yeah, investing that time. People don't think about this, but when you have little ones, your time is really spent with them.
Yeah.
But you should look at that as an investment. Yeah. Right, because as that's just the training cost.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
With your children is educating them. So by the time they grow up and are able to be disciplined to obey you, then what you get out of that, the value of an obedient child that can do what you've trained them to do is far greater to your time than a disobedient child that doesn't do what you say.
All that. Yeah. Oh man.
All right. Number 10, and then I don't know if we're going to make it through the other 10 after this.
Okay. All right.
But maybe we'll do a round 2 on this. But This is really important. Deal with the insecurities of father hunger and mortify it for the future.
Deal with the insecurities of father hungry.
Yeah. So
What do you mean?
Young men, there needs to be an ordination process for young men. Fathers do that. You're a man now.
Right.
When he doesn't have that ordination process, he drifts and he becomes insecure in his leadership or his enthronement. Am I my man here? My man now? How do I act? When do I act like a man? And then when he gets married, he's kind of dicey. He's waiting for approval even from his wife, right? And he doesn't lead. But when a father says, you're a man, act like it. This is time for you to man up. You need to learn these things. You need to do these things. All of a sudden, he's like, I am this. I must act like this. I must be this. And he's not insecure in his leadership anymore because he's been handed the mantle to lead. He's been handed a crown to lead. It's like, okay, go be a man. Okay, Dad, I'm going to go be a man. Look what I've done, right? I've done this. And so he rules without any insecurities. He's not waiting for another man's approval. He's not waiting for his wife's approval or the culture's approval. He's leading. And fathers give boys that transitional stage. Mothers help with this as well, but they bring them from that stage. Otherwise, what you have, and I've seen it in a lot of black culture and where you see fatherless culture, you see a lot of man boys. They don't know how to make decisions. They don't know that they're in charge. They wait for committees to tell them when to do things. They're not decisive about what to do. Yeah. And so they haven't been coordinated. This is super important so that they're like, oh, I'm in charge now. Yeah. You know,
you end up either with the nice guy syndrome.
Yes.
Who's, again, all decisions are done by committee so that because you're never sure, insecure. Or you end up with the other ditch of sort of the Andrew Tate, machismo sort of problem where they're constantly trying to prove their masculinity, prove their manhood, but it's over the top.
Yeah.
And it's tyrannical, abusive, obnoxious.
I actually have that in here. I was like, rule without committee, not without counsel.
Yeah.
Right? That's the difference. There's a difference between having good counsel and making good decisions and ruling. Waiting for a committee is saying, well, do we all agree, guys? Right. So that way no one can be responsible.
Right. But it's simply not leadership and it's not masculine.
Yep.
Again, back to husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church. I always point out, like, notice that. Like, and it says, who laid himself down for his bride. So that's the image, that's the picture. But remember, Christ did what his bride needed, not exactly what his bride wanted. And if Christ had led by committee, how many of you think I should die on the cross?
Right.
We actually know what
Peter,
they thought.
like,
The disciples said that's a terrible idea. Jesus said, I'm going to Jerusalem. I'm going to die. I'm going to be crucified. I'm going to rise again on the third day. And they were like, no, this is a terrible idea. This is bad. And Peter was like, no, this is terrible. And he said, get behind me, Satan. So now Jesus did what was actually needed for the good and the holiness of his bride. He listened to his bride, but he didn't allow his bride to dictate what he knew was the right thing to do. And this is what leadership does. Leadership listens, it gets counsel, but it still is responsible and it does what it believes it is actually right for its people, right for its house, right for your bride.
All right, I don't know if we're going to make it under the 10 here.
Oh yeah, we got 10.
We got 10 more to go.
We're down to 21 now.
Well, that's because you added,
we added some.
And actually, it's interesting. I have this list. I would really love for our guys who are older, because the 20-year-olds, they like, what first thing they should have did is probably be born if they had to take this list and make it 20 years ago. Be born in the 80s if one thing for them. But I would love to hear even from our gentlemen in the audience, like, you're 40, you're in your 40s right now. What are the 20 things?
What else
like hit me up on X, send it to us, because as we jump down this list, I like to add some of those things to this as well, because I want to encourage our young men. And I want the guys in their 40s to say, okay, listen, now it's time. If God gives me grace, I expect to live the next 20 years.
Well, we can all, and that's the thing is, I think what you're getting at though is this is for both sets.
Yes.
And so maybe you're 40, maybe you're 45, and you're saying, man, I didn't do this stuff. Well, start now. Start now. I mean, that's what the gospel does. The gospel allows you to start right where you are. Yeah,
and I don't think you should take for granted. You think about Paul and how far off a target he was.
Sure.
And yet all that had happened in his life,
Right.
God could redeem that
Right.
for his glory.
Yeah. Well, and
And so don't take any of the things that you've already went through and the things you understand for granted.
Right.
And be like, oh, I guess it's all away. It's like, no, what happens when you bring those things and lay them at the cross and God gets his hands to mold them
Right.
and to use them,
Yeah,
right?
by God's grace, and we can't do this and say this in our own wisdom or our own strength, but by his grace, there's no wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've wasted time. You know, we've thrown things away. But when we bring everything we are to him, he still uses that. He still redeems that. If we honestly lay it before him, he'll use that. Even the years of the locusts.
Yeah.
God can be like, no, I was doing good work. Yeah, you were screwing up.
Yeah.
But I was still preparing you. There were still things that I was doing there that were for your good.
Yeah.
For the good of your family. You find yourself disappointed with the currently available children's Bibles? Dissatisfied with the added dialogue and cartoon illustrations? Meet Palma, a distinctly different approach to children's Bible stories. Palma books set young minds up for success in understanding God's word by engaging them through poetic rhyme and vividly beautiful illustrations without sacrificing biblical accuracy. With 2 stories now available and a 3rd coming soon, all the books in Palma's series include the biblical passages that the story is actually based on, as well as discussion questions for your little ones at the end. To learn more, check out palmastorybooks.com. That's P-A-L-M-A, palmastorybooks.com, or find them at Palma Storybooks on Instagram. In a garden long ago,
I love pushing that button.
our first parents fell to the Dark Lord's deception, sparking a cosmic war between light and darkness. Today, that battle rages in the hearts of the young, future warriors in a struggle as old as time. Dark forces cloak their lives in promises of peace, wielding imperial government schools, trying to mold children into minions of a godless empire. Yet hope rises. Nearly 10 million kids have escaped and counting, trained by faithful parents and Christian schools in the ways of the light. The resistance is growing, so join the rebellion. October 16th through the 18th at Rocket Town in Nashville, Tennessee for Fight, Laugh, Feast 2025. The faithful gather to strategize and rally. Train the young to launch them into battle. The Spirit is with us. Christendom's war begins anew. Go to fightlaughfeast.com to register for Fight, Laugh, Feast 2025. School Wars. Rebuilding Christendom with your kids. We've got Douglas Wilson, Ben Merkel, David Bonson, George Grant, Larry Taunton, David Goodwin, David Erb, David Shannon.
I'll be there.
I don't know who else is coming. All the Davids. And of course, we'll do a live show at the end of the conference. We'll also have beer and psalms as usual.
Yes.
Maybe a Sabbath feast at the end. A pre-business makers conference.
It's going to be fire.
All the things.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
All the
for
things.
this
Go to
one.
fightlaughfeast.com and register today.
All right, I was going to just end it because we only went through 10 of the top 20 things you should have done 20 years ago.
And we are almost at the hour.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's okay. But I just want to say this along with that ad, and it's number 20, so I'll probably find it into 20, which is do not take for granted how important the education of your children are.
Oh, yeah.
It is extremely. It's an understatement what I'm saying. I'm understanding it. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's something. Just when I had children, I wouldn't have moved for my children's education.
Really?
I would have moved for financial freedom,
For a job.
and for a job to take care of my family.
Right.
But I didn't know how important it was for my children to have a better education than a better house to live in. That was what was at odds.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Moscow, I saw a boatload of people making decisions for their children's education over against how their children lived. And I just why is that?
Right.
And there's so I can spend so much time on this.
Yeah.
But when God gives you children, he's giving you his seed.
Right.
These are for him.
Right.
And everything that flows in our society that we find gratuitous or gross or bad comes from the past generation, how they raise their children.
Right.
Like we are looking at child rearing. With every problem in society, it is fatherhood failing their children or motherhood failing their children. It's completely destroyed through that.
Right.
And so if we could do one thing to change all of our society over the next 20 years,
Right.
the education of our children, to give them Christian kids,
Right.
a Christian education that fears the Lord,
Right.
would radically change every area in American society.
Right.
If just Christians, not just everybody, I just even take one denomination. If the SBC decided just to raise their kids in the fear of the Lord, in the admonition of the Lord, and give them a Christian education, they would change the whole of America.
And actually, but prioritize that. Like, you know,
it is the thing.
Most Christians would say, "Oh yeah, that's what we're doing."
Yeah,
but it's like
I would have said that.
Yeah, but does your checkbook say that?
Yeah,
does your time management say that? Are the decisions you're making about where you live?
Show me the scars.
Are they saying this is the most important thing we do for the future? Yeah. You mentioned, like, you could. People around here for decades have sacrificed the nice house,
yes, in
order to have their kids have a Christian education,
yes.
And you look at that from one angle and you think, well, aren't you supposed to provide a house? And you say, yeah, I am. I'm if you got 5 kids and you raise them in the Lord, you just built 5 houses.
Yeah,
like that's one way to think about that. That's 5 houses. Okay, that's your first retirement account.
Yeah.
Now, Lord willing, you can do more than that.
Yep.
But like, those people will go on and they will get married and they will have kids. They will build businesses. They will build houses. They will raise kids, and those kids will have houses. I mean, that's a legacy. That's an inheritance, and it multiplies.
My house might not be here in 500 years, but the souls of the people that God gave me will.
That's right.
And that's what we have to remember.
That's why we're doing this conference, School Wars.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic.